Hi, this is James, and in this video I'll be sharing how I work with Lenormand, specifically when I do 3-card readings. So stay tuned. Thanks so much for joining me for this viewer requested video. This video was inspired by one of my viewers, Tiger Lady, who sent me a request asking me if I would be willing to share how I work with Lenormand, specifically when I do 3-card readings. So that will be the focus of this video. In the following segments, I'll be using these different decks. I have 5 different decks on the table. I just wanted to do something with a little bit of variety. And each segment, using each deck, I'll be asking a particular question, usually one that just comes to me in the moment right off the top of my head. And I will be showing you how I work with 3 cards in Lenormand. So now, as I'm saying that, I always say when I do these types of videos that I am not sitting here claiming to be an expert or an authority on how to work with Lenormand. I'm only sharing what has been helpful and useful to me in my own personal experience and journey with the cards. So some of the things that I may be showing you may resonate with you and others may not, and either way, it is okay. I'm a big believer in that as individuals, we all lean towards one way in terms of a style in reading the cards, and one way is neither right or wrong or better than any other. So again, I'm just sharing from my personal experience. I'm sharing with the intention, though, that it's going to be helpful for those who land on it, either way. So, again, we're going to be working with a number of decks. I will be talking about each deck at the beginning, so you know which deck I'm referring to, and I will also leave in the description box below some information about each one in case you find them of any interest and you are thinking about adding them to your collection. So I will leave those in the description box below. So now that I've set up the video in terms of the intention and the focus and what we're going to do going forward, let's now move to the first segment, taking a closer look at how I work with Lenormand doing 3-card readings. And here we are with my Malpertuis Lenormand, and I'm going to take it up. And so one of the things that I like to do with a 3-card Lenormand reading is I like to ask about my day. So I just kindly just ask, what will today bring? How will my day go? That kind of thing. Sometimes I even ask the question, what will happen today? So let's say I'm asking that. So I'm going to ask the cards to tell me what will happen today. So I shuffle the question into the cards. Alright, I'm going to stop there. And now, because they're asking a question about me, I'm going to go ahead and cut the cards towards me. And then what I do is I fan the cards out. And then I just look for 3 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. So I have 1, 2, and I like this one over here, 3. So I have 3 cards selected. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up, put that to one side. And so now there are a couple of ways that you could look at this. So one thing you could do is you could read the cards from left to right and read them going forward, telling a story, and forward narration, or you can look at the middle card and then the 2 opposite cards would tell you how this card will play out. This card is the focus or the theme of the day, and then these would be 2 external factors surrounding that. So there's a couple of ways you could read it. So let's take a look at the cards. I'll just turn them all over at the same time. So the first card is Stork. Then we have Man in the middle. Oh, how interesting is that? And then we have Fox. Okay. So now, if I go with the idea that I'm looking at the focus, so the focus here is the Gentleman card. So very interesting. I asked, how will my day go today, or what do I need to know about my day, and it put me square dab smack in the middle. So I love that. And I always say when this kind of stuff happens is that you can't make this stuff up. So here we have the focus on me, right? And so now I read with direction in mind. So the gentleman is facing to the fox and has a stork behind him. So if I go and I read the cards from left to right, now that I've looked at the focus, what I do here is the card on the far left, opening the line up, is stork. So stork for me represents change, right? So I read this card as change or improvement. So here we have change or improvement for the man, because what happens is the way I read it is I read the first card as the subject, and then the second card either describes the first card or it says that this is what's happening to the subject. So this could be read as, if this was a sentence, this would be the noun, and this could either be the adjective, description, or it would be the verb, action, right? So you get to choose how you want to read the sentence, but that's how I usually go about it. So here we have change coming to the man because the stork is facing the man. So change or improvement coming to the man. Now, I could also read it with the back of the gentleman to the stork. I could read this as a past or prior change, or I could read it as the gentleman, meaning me, is going to be having some sort of difficulty or struggle with some kind of change or improvement, because this is known as an inauspicious placement. Anytime the significator card has its back to the card, it could sometimes represent something that the person is struggling with, or that could be somewhat of a challenge or a difficulty, right? But anyway, stork represents change. So this could be change coming to the man, or, you know, improvement coming to the man, or that there's going to be some sort of struggle with change or improvement, right? And that would make sense because now we have gentleman facing fox. If I go with the idea that this is change or improvement, that's going to be a little bit of a difficulty or a struggle or some sort of challenge, then this would make sense because fox can represent something that's bad, something that's wrong, or something that's a mistake, right? And that would make sense. If there is going to be some sort of struggle with change or improvement, it's going to be because the gentleman is facing a mistake, facing something wrong, right? Now, I'm self-employed, so now since gentleman represents me, I'm self-employed. So fox for me can represent self-employment. And it can also represent one's craft or one's skill, right? So if I go with this entire line, reading it from left to right, there could be change coming to the man regarding self-employment. It could be improvement coming to the man regarding his skill or his craft. Right? Another thing that's coming to me with fox is fox for me can also represent strategy. So another possibility here, if I mirror the cards, it could be a change or an improvement with a strategy. And strategy would be a plan. So another way of reading this could be the gentleman, meaning me, is in the midst of, going with the idea of placement being in the middle of the line, is in the midst of or in the middle of a change in strategy or an improvement to a strategy. Right? So that's some possibilities for the line. Again, it would make me feel like there's maybe some sort of mistake that's going to need some sort of correction, some sort of change or improvement. There's going to be a change in my business for the day. Or I'm going to be improving on an existing skill or my craft. And that would make sense if we go with the idea that skill and craft is tied to self-employment. Right? So those are some ways that I would read this combination. So now let's move on and take another look at another combination. Okay, so now here I am with my Wanderwust Lenormand. So I'm going to take it up, and as I shuffle the cards, I'm going to be thinking of a question. So for me, when I work with 3-card combinations, is that I tend to use a 3-card reading for when I want a quick answer to a question. Normally my go-to is a line of 5. So I usually go to that if I want something quick, but something with a little more substance to it or a little more information to it. But for something really quick and to the point, a 3-card draw is wonderful to work with. So I'm asking this time, let's say I'm going to see a movie, and before I go, because I've done this, so that's why I'm using this as an example, and before I head to the movie theater, I want to know, will I enjoy the movie? So that's the question. I'm going to see a movie, that's a situation, and I'm asking the cards to tell me if I'm going to enjoy the movie. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to cut the cards towards me because I'm asking about me. Alright, so now I'm going to take the cards and fan them out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm taking 3 cards from the fan that are getting my attention. 3. Okay, so now I've got the card selected. I'm going to pick the remainder of the deck up. Alright. So now these are the 3 cards. Now remember, the situation is I'm going to see a movie and I want to know if I'm going to enjoy the movie. That's the question. So taking a look at the cards from left to right, we have the Sun, Clover, and we have House. Okay. So now the way I would look at the cards, we could look at them from left to right. So here we have Sun. Sun is clarification, it's success. It can literally represent the sun, so it could represent the whole day, or doing something during the day. And then we have Clover. Clover is opportunity for me, or that's luck or fortune. So here we have a day of opportunity, a lucky day. Remember now, the way I read these cards is I read the first card as the subject, and then this is either an adjective describing it or something that's going to be happening to the subject. So here we have a day of opportunity or a lucky day. So the first 2 cards are saying it's my lucky day in terms of the movie. So we have 2, now that I notice, we have the card that represents big luck, sun, and little luck. So here we have 2 cards that represent luck in and of themselves. So we have that being pointed out. So this card can also represent happiness. So this could be happiness and luck, or happiness with an opportunity. Now we could also go with the flip side of Clover in regards to the movie itself. Clover could represent a chance. So it could be saying, like, I could be taking a chance, right? So this could be a day to take a chance. And then here we have House. So House could represent comfort. So here we have a day of an opportunity, or a day for an opportunity to be comfortable. So I would read this as a very positive sign, going strongly with the Sun card and the Clover card, right? But this could be a day, happiness, success, opportunity, luck. We have big luck, little luck, and then House could represent being comfortable, because I'm going to a movie, so it could represent my house. That would be the literal. But now, this is where you have to remember what the question was. And I'm a big believer in, when you know the question or the context, you can easily run through your list of words and pick the right and best word. So if I'm talking about leaving the house to go see a movie, then the house card couldn't represent my home. It would have to represent something else. So for me, it would represent comfort. Right? So I would look at this as very positive, saying that I would enjoy the movie, and I'm leaning more towards the Sun card. So it could also be, the opportunity to feel at home, and that again would imply comfort. But that's how I would look at that. So that's how I would read the line for the question, will I enjoy the movie? All 3 cards are really positive, so it would make me feel like it's going to be an enjoyable experience, especially with the Sun card and the Clover card. So now let's move on and take a look at another question. And now here I am with my mystical Lenormand deck. So I'm going to take the deck in hand, and this time I'm going to be asking a question about a project I backed on Kickstarter, and the project was funded and the project was completed, and so now the creator has started the shipping process for the decks. Surprise, surprise, it's a deck of Oracle cards. So I've seen on YouTube that people have been doing walkthroughs of the deck already. So I know that people are starting to get it. And so now I'm wondering if my copy's coming. So let's say I'm asking about the deck. And I'm asking, since it's late in the day today, I'm going to ask, will the deck come in the mail tomorrow? So that's the question, is will the deck arrive in the mail tomorrow? Feeling one more time, I'll be good. All right. Now, because the question concerns me, I'm going to go ahead and cut the cards. Now I'm going to fan them out. All right, and now I'm going to pick 3 cards for the question. All right, I have 3 cards selected. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up. Okay, and these are my cards. All right, so the first card is Clover again. So now Clover represents, there's a chance it could come tomorrow, right? If we go with the opportunity, if we go with the possibility, this could represent chances. It can also represent opportunity. It could represent luck and fortune. So my first thing in answering the question is, Clover tells me there's a chance it could come. Okay, so now here we have garden. So now here we have, if I read the cards as a combination, if this is opportunity or chance, then this is the public, this is social, garden is public, social. This could be a community, right? If we go with the idea that this was a Kickstarter project, right? So there's a social, public component to it, right? So I would read garden as public, something social, something that involves a group or community. So here we have a chance for the community, chance for the group, right? So let's take a look at the last card. Okay. So now here we have a different spin on it, right? So now here we have as the last card, we have mice. So mice represents loss, right? So that's one of the words I have for mice. It can also represent stress and worry. I'm not going to be stressed and I'm not going to be worried about that, so I'm not going to go with that. But it makes me feel like here, the chance, if I mirror the 2 cards, the chance is lost or the opportunity is lost. Because this could represent lost opportunity, right? So for me, that makes me feel like it's a no, like the package is not going to come or the deck is not going to arrive tomorrow in the mail, right? And I think in this regard, it would be other people ruining it or spoiling it, because mice can represent something that's ruined or spoiled. And this would just be people in the community where I've been watching on YouTube who have been doing their, walkthroughs, their unboxing, things of that nature. So, so there's that. But garden is a tricky card here. I really feel like the answer of the question came from the outer cards. And sometimes that happens. I've discovered that some cards really speak to the question better than others. So it makes me feel like garden here is actually what I would call a mute card, meaning like it really doesn't have anything to say about it one way or the other. But that's how I would read it, right? If I were to actually do the pairings, and I think that's more important for Tiger Lily and other people who are interested in how I actually go through doing a 3-card reading, then it's important to consider the first card being the subject, and then so this would be you know, a social opportunity or a chance with the public or an opportunity becoming public, right? And then if we go move this here, then here we have, you know, the public spoils or the public ruins, or that the public or the group or the community is becoming a nuisance or a pest. But again, you have to be careful. Then if you're going to do it that way, then ask yourself, how does that answer the question? So I bring it back to clover and mice are the two cards that really answer the question, because it makes me feel like an opportunity is lost or wasted, or a chance is lost and wasted, right? So that's how I would read these cards in context to the question. So now let's do another one using a different deck. All right, now I'm working with my 1889 Lenormand Oracle. So I'm going to take the deck in hand, and I'm going to ask the cards a question, and this time I'm going to use a question that doesn't involve me. So let's say I'm doing a reading for a woman, and let's call her Janet. So Janet is going on a date. She met this man, and let's call him Jack. So Janet and Jack are going on a date, and Janet wants to know, just like I did with my going to the movie example, she wants to know, will she have a good time with Jack on their date? So that's the question. All right, and so now this time, because the question does not involve me, I'm going to cut the cards away from me. Now I'm going to fan the cards out. So now I'm looking for 3 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. That's 1. This one's away over here for 2. And I like this one over here for 3. Okay, so I picked the cards. Now we have 3 cards. So now I'm going to turn them over. So now remember, the question was, will Janet have a good time on her date with Jack? First card is the Tower. So now the Tower, here in this particular case, keeping with the context of the question, could represent something being made official. So let's say the date is, it's an official date, right? They've each agreed to go on the date. Now, Tower could also represent loneliness, isolation, separation, that kind of thing. So it could be saying too, like, there may be something going on within the date which makes her feel like she's really not on a date, like she's, you know, all by herself, or she's feeling a sense of loneliness or isolation, right? It could also be too, like they're going to go to a place possibly where they're going to be alone, right? But my first thought here is making me feel like the date being something official, right? Then here we have, so now here we in the middle, we have snake. So now snake here represents for me complication. So there's going to be some sort of problem, some sort of complication, right? There may be something having to do with some kind of entanglement for me, because snake can represent entanglements. Now, it could also be too, there may actually be a problem that keeps them from going on the date, because now if this is isolation or separation, this could be isolation or loneliness due to a complication, right? But now these 2 cards, in terms of the question, aren't necessarily so positive, right? So now let's take a look at the last card. Ooh, okay. So we have the Scythe as the last card. So for me, I'm looking at these 3 cards. They are challenging cards, right? So for Janet, Janet may not enjoy her time with Jack. There may be some sort of complication. And as a result of the complication, the date is going to get cut short, because Scythe for me can represent something that's cut, something that's severed. It could also represent a break or a disconnection. But it makes me feel like she's going to be left alone due to some complication, and that the date's going to be cut short, right? And it could also be too, like if Jack has a job with a company or corporation, there may be something having to do with his work that cuts things off or cuts the date short. If they actually go on it, something is going to happen during the date and it's going to get cut short. Right, now another possibility here I would see here, and this doesn't have to do with the date, but it could be about the nature of the relationship. Let's just say that because of the snake card, we have the Queen of Clubs in here, and so the Queen of Clubs can represent the other woman. This card can represent the other woman. And so that there may be a problem with the other woman, right? And then this could be separation, and this could be a split or a severance or a disconnection. So there may be, Jack may be going through some kind of divorce proceeding, and the other woman, the woman he's divorcing, is going to make that relationship between Janet and Jack difficult. But in terms of the question, bringing it right back to the question, these cards don't look very promising for the date overall. Right? It's making me feel like there's going to be some sort of complication that cuts things short. Right? So that's how I would look at those cards in connection to the question. So now let's do one more, wrap this video up with a different deck and a different question. And here we are with the final deck I'm going to be working with in this video, and this is Fanu's Lilac Dondorf. If you've ever watched any of my Lenormand videos long enough to know, this is my absolute favorite Lenormand deck. And so while I was switching out decks, I had a perfect question come to mind. So this is the question I'm going to pose to the cards using 3 cards. The question is, for everybody who's watching this video, or for, more importantly, the people who asked me to do this Lenormand video focusing on 3 card readings, so this would be Tiger Lily and anybody else who may be interested in their 3 card draws and pulls. I'm asking the question, what do we all need to know that's going to be helpful in improving on readings using 3 cards? So that's the question. What do we all need to know that's going to help us become better at reading with 3 cards? So that's the question. So now I'm taking the deck up. And I'm shuffling the cards, and so I'm focusing on the question. All right, oh, that's a good sign that I'm done. When it goes like that, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the cards away from me because this is a group question. So it's not just for me. All right, and now I'm going to fan out the cards. And now I'm going to pick 3 cards from the fan that are getting my attention. This is the first card, second card, and third card. All right, so I have 3 cards. Taking the remainder up. All right. So now, first card. Birds. Okay, so for me, birds would be suggesting forming a dialogue with the cards, right? This is conversation, this is communication, this is usually verbal. So I'm getting the sense for some people it would be helpful to do what I'm doing in the moment, is to lay out the cards and talk about the cards out loud, right? This would be especially helpful for people who are planning on using the cards in readings with other people. So this would be good about vocalizing what it is that's coming to you regarding the cards. So I'm looking at this as speaking the words. So it would be whatever words that the cards mean to you, say them aloud, right? And allow yourself to hear your voice, hear the words that are coming out, and that kind of thing. But this card would make me feel like having a dialogue with the cards, right? So that is how I would look at birds as a possibility first. That may change. Different words may come to my mind depending on what these cards are, but in the moment, this is making me feel like communication with the cards is important. Conversation with the cards is important. You know, speaking the words that come to mind aloud is important with the birds. All right. Middle card. Okay, so now here we have bouquet. So now bouquet is all about surprises. So this could be surprise conversation, surprising words. It could be being creative, because this is about creative energy here. So this is, it could be creative words, you know, conversations, communication, dialogues that are creative in nature. You know, this could also be about being pleasant, something being pleasant, something being beautiful, something being wonderful. So it makes me feel like conversations or words that come as a surprise, or getting creative with our words. So if you're a person, and this may be a nod to take a look at your keywords that you have for the cards and see how you could maybe get more creative in your approach with your words, right? So for somebody in particular, it may need to be like expanding on your words. You may have like a certain number of words for each card. This could be suggesting like, would you be willing to consider expanding on that, getting more creative with your words, right? So I'm seeing that as words that are creative. So that's how I would look at that. But it's making me feel like conversations, communications that are surprising, or conversations, communications that are pleasant, that are beautiful, those kinds of things. Right? So now let's take a look at the last card. Okay. So now here we have Tower at the end. So now the Tower, when I read Tower as the last card in the line, I always go with the idea that it represents something becoming official, right? So this could be conversations that become official, conversations that are alone. So that idea where I talked about talking out loud, maybe speaking the words that you have for the cards aloud when you're alone. You know, this could be spending time with the cards by yourself, right? And so now the Tower represents a building, but it also represents elevation, something becoming heightened, right? So it's making me feel like the more you are creative with your, either your communication with the cards, your conversation with the cards, or the words, your keywords, the more creative you are, the more that you will see in terms of improvement. This card makes me feel like elevation and status. So we're going to go up. Things are going to become heightened, right? That kind of thing. But also, too, this would be about making sure that you are spending time with the cards alone, right? But it makes me feel like this, the more you do this, it's going to become official, or it's going to become heightened, or things of that nature. Right? So that's how I look at that. So a very interesting thing here is like, it could be saying too, like before you start talking about the card to other people, meaning doing readings for other people, it may be a matter of you getting a better handle on things by yourself, because these two cards could form a dichotomy, you know, polar opposites. This card could represent, you know, pairings. There's two birds on the card, so this would be pairings. And then this would be isolation, doing something by oneself, you know, being solitary, that kind of thing. So that is how I would look at these three cards. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. So I hope for Tiger Lily, and for anybody else who may have been interested in this particular topic, I hope you found this video of interest, and I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know how you are progressing with your 3-card combinations, and if I can help you in any way down the line, please let me know. So I'm James Himm Mitchell. I'd like to thank you for watching and sharing the space here with me for this video, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day. Take care.